Hello, and welcome back to our countdown to Easter, where we're looking at some of the less than prominent parts of the Easter story. So, we call it Good Friday, although from a first reading of any of the Gospels there doesn't seem much good about it. There is a character who intrigues me in Mark's Gospel. He is unnamed, we only know him by his rank in the army. He was a centurion. This was a man well versed in the brutal, humiliating and lingering torture that was crucifixion. Now Mark ends his description of Jesus' death with this tantalizing sentence. When the centurion saw how Jesus died, he exclaimed, "Surely this was the Son of God." Surely carries a sense of, well, now it's become patently obvious. So what was it that provoked a hardened military leader to say something like that? Was it that Jesus didn't die cursing the authorities and swearing there would be vengeance? Or was it, as Mark hints, something about Jesus' final cry? Well, whatever it was, this man was finally convinced of the reality of Jesus as God's Son. God in a body. Today, April the 10th, is the 75th anniversary of the execution of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a theologian who stood up to the Nazis in World War II. He was executed because, as an influential Christian, he called out the corruption and brutality of the Nazi regime. Tragically, he was killed only a fortnight before the Americans liberated the camp where he was incarcerated. Now, one of Bonhoeffer's enduring ideas was that we should do all we can to avoid living by cheap grace. Cheap grace is the grace we award ourselves. Cheap grace is the preaching of forgiveness without the requiring of repentance. Cheap grace is baptism without church discipline. It is partaking in communion without genuine confession. Cheap grace is grace without discipleship. And ultimately, it's grace without the cross, without Christ. What we see in the cross is the true cost of God's grace, his generosity towards us. What is remarkable about Easter Day is that a man went from death back to life. The thing that's remarkable about Good Friday is that God went from life down into death. And he did it for us, did it for me. I still can't quite get my head round this, but my heart can still revel in it. God bless you on this Good Friday. Well, from here you can subscribe to the channel, and if you click the little bell icon you'll get a ping when I put something new up. You can also see some of the other videos by clicking elsewhere on this screen.